Welcome to Connect, the monthly series to connect you with your community. In each episode, we speak with experts, innovators, and community members, and together explore themes of loneliness, social connections, and healthy aging across Massachusetts. I'm your host, Sandra Harris, the state president of AARP Massachusetts and co-leader of the Massachusetts Coalition to Build Community and End Loneliness. Massachusetts Area Agencies on Aging, known by many as AAAs, are federally designed agencies that address the needs and concerns of aging adults and their caregivers. Funded through the Older American Act of 1965, these agencies operate across the United States, offering a variety of services, including information, resources, and options counseling, making it possible for people to choose which services help them aid in the communities of their choice, allowing them to maintain their independence and quality of life. Throughout Massachusetts, there are 22 area agencies on aging, with federal funding flowing through the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs. AAAs are part of a larger network that includes 26 aging services access points, which offer similar services but focus on connecting older adults to local resources and support system. In many cases, a single agency serves as both the AAA and the Aging Services Access Point. Area agencies on aging play a crucial role in the aging network by addressing the diverse needs of the older population, ensuring they receive appropriate care and support to live independently and with dignity. Here to talk with us today is Jennifer Raymond. Jen is the Chief Strategy Officer for AgeSpan, an area agencies on aging serving Northeast Massachusetts. Jen is also a co-leader of the Massachusetts Coalition to Build Community and End Loneliness. Welcome, Jen. We're so happy to have you join us.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm thrilled to be here today.
Okay. Well, first of all, Jen, congratulations, because AgeSpan has recently celebrated 50 years of respected, trusted, and excellent services provided to older adults throughout northeastern Massachusetts. Tell us about AgeSpan. What is your mission and purpose?
Thank you, Sandra. We were really thrilled to recently have our 50th anniversary celebration, and through that process highlight the power that older adults have in our communities. As you said, AgeSpan is one of the area agencies on aging or aging service access points that you reference. Our mission is simply put to ensure that everyone in every community has the ability and the power and the resources that they need to age in a way that's fulfilling for them, and that will look different for each person. That includes having the independence to have choice. We love for people to be able to choose where they reside and how they reside for as long as possible, knowing that at some point in many of our lives we'll need additional assistance to live independently, or we'll need some assisted living arrangements. But the goal really is to help each individual be connected to resources in their community, whether it's food, housing, transportation, social connectedness, resources in the home, whatever it is that they need to choose to live the lives that most fulfill them.
Wonderful, Jen. What is your role as Chief Strategy Officer?
Excellent. Well, you know, as Chief Strategy Officer, part of what I get to do is really to work with our community partners and understand what our communities need. AgeSpan, for example, we cover 28 cities and towns in the northeast part of Massachusetts. Always careful to say cities and towns, because within those are hundreds of different communities within the cities and towns. but getting to understand what it is that older adults need today, and start to think about what they might need in 5 years or 10 years. And then as an agency, think about how we adapt our services, our programs, our initiatives to meet this changing demographic. And that means not only older adults in our communities, but also their family caregivers. Oftentimes, particularly when we're working with older adults who may have Alzheimer's or dementia, their family caregiver is the connection between them and the resources they need. So how can we as an agency both support the older adult and the family caregiver?
Okay. Now, you were not always AgeSpan, correct?
That's correct.
Why the rebranding?
So many folks will remember us as Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley. And about 2.5 years ago, we rebranded to AgeSpan, and there were really a few different reasons for that. First of all, our geographic footprint was expanding. We had recently merged with another area agency on aging. You might have known that as North Shore Elder Services. So we had a larger footprint than just the Merrimack Valley. Another reason was that when we talked with a lot of our older adults in our community, they didn't identify with the term elder. Many people do identify with that term, and it brings forward the appropriate sense of reverence and respect. But for other people in our community, it wasn't something that they felt like described them. So they never thought of coming to us, even though they might be an older adult. So the elder piece, we wanted it to be more accessible. And then the final piece was that, we really wanted to take on this strategy and this vision of supporting healthy aging before you're age 60 or age 65, really understanding that if we gave resources and initiatives and helped empower younger people to start thinking about their aging journey, then the chance that they would be able to be independent later in life was expanded. So we worked with our communities and moved from Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley and North Shore to AgeSpan, really taking this across the lifespan approach to healthy aging.
So in this rebranding, your mission and purpose somehow changed as well, right?
It did. Our focus and our priority is always going to be around supporting older adults and making sure that older adults have the resources that they need to live independently. But one of those resources is the ability to start thinking and living a healthy aging lifestyle before you become an older adult. So we're thinking about serving our future consumers, and that means our clients now are some in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, people that are thinking about healthy aging, or family caregivers of older adults, or folks who have multiple chronic conditions and would benefit from some assistance with food or physical activity so that they can start their healthy aging journey. So right now, some of our consumers are as young as 3 years old all the way up.
Oh, wow. So how many clients do you serve now?
It's an overwhelming number. It feels daunting. We serve approximately 80,000 people in the Merrimack Valley and North Shore. That's 28 cities and towns. In addition to that, we have a couple of initiatives like our S&P, Senior Medicare Patrol Program, and our Healthy Living Center that are statewide programs. So about 80,000 individuals. For example, we have about 3,000 individuals who receive home-delivered meals every day. We have about 50,000 people who receive some type of in-home services, whether it's chore help or activities of daily living. And then we have other folks who participate in programs like our mobile market.
So you really are serving your name, AgeSpan, the complete AgeSpan. Give us an example of something that you would do for a younger person, and then another example of a service provided to an older adult.
Absolutely. So right now we are working with a accountable care organization. That's a hospital group that matches with, in our case, an insurance plan to serve a younger, low-income mass health population. And these are individuals that may have diabetes or some other kind of chronic condition, and they also have what some people refer to as a social determinant health, meaning there's some kind of barrier to them managing their diabetes, for example, in a good way. That might be nutrition. They don't have enough finances to eat in a healthy way or to purchase healthy groceries. So under this work with the Accountable Care Organization, we provide home delivered meals to people who are in their 20s and 30s. We provide nutrition services, so you can sit with a registered dietitian either in person or over the phone and learn a little bit more about how to eat in a healthy way if you're a person with diabetes. And we also provide things like gift cards or grocery vouchers. So if you need to go with a nutritionist to Market Basket and understand how to shop for a person with diabetes, you have some financial support in doing that. And the outcomes are really positive. They show that when people have the right kinds of nutrition supports, for example, things like their blood sugar numbers, we always think of it as blood sugar, the doctors will call it A1C, but their blood sugar numbers go down and they feel more confident about managing their disease. So these people that we're helping in their 20s, 30s, and 40s are going to be able to manage their diabetes better when they're 70 and 80.
And I would imagine it makes it easier, so by the time that they are older adults, they really know how to control their health and participate more in staying well, right?
They've learned some healthy behaviors. They've had the right resources like the mood and the meals and the gift cards, and they feel empowered. They realize that this is something that they can have some control over. And in addition to that, they're connected with the right healthcare team. We can't do it on our own. We have to make sure we have the right doctors, physicians, nurses, and registered dietitians to help us along the way.
Okay. Jen, I've heard recently about a pilot that you are running in your nutrition program. I find it very fascinating. Would you like to share that with
Absolutely.
restaurants?
This is one of, I think, the most exciting projects that we do, and it gets back to one of the things you talked about previously, Sandra, and I know one of your passions, social connectedness. So many of us take for granted the ability to go to a restaurant, sit down, be waited on, order a meal, have it prepared exactly the way you want it prepared, sit across the table from a friend or family member, and really have this opportunity to nourish your body, nourish your soul, have those conversations, and really feel connected. When we are looking at many older adults, there are barriers to be able to doing that. They might not have the right resources. They might not have enough money to go out to eat. They might not have transportation. They might not have the right friends to go out to eat with. Those challenges gets compounded when we talk about some of the residents in our communities who might be immigrants or refugees to our communities. So we're doing a pilot project right now. We're funded by the Federal Administration for Community Living, and it's called the Reunir Project. And Reunir stands for to gather in Spanish. And under this project, low-income older adults who are Hispanic or Latino or Southeast Asian are screened, and if they're food insecure and they're socially isolated, they qualify to have 2 restaurant vouchers a month for a year. So that means they get this little key tag and they get to go to one of our select restaurants, have the key tag scanned, and they can sit down with a friend, with a neighbor, with a family member, or sometimes they go by themselves and just enjoy the company of others in the restaurant and get to have a nutritious meal. So we love that project because it addresses food insecurity, it addresses social isolation, it addresses health equity. And then the other thing that we do as part of that project is that we train all of the staff in the restaurant a little bit on how to work and how to interact with older adults. So we do some training with them so that they understand aging, they understand dementia a little bit more, and they understand how to set aside some of those preconceived stereotypes or biases that we have. So it really is a exciting project. And at this point, we have had about 400 people participated in the last 2 years.
Oh, that's excellent. And holds the promise of being a really good best practice, right, to address loneliness and social isolation. So it's a goal to have it replicated in other communities?
Love to see replication, and it is replicated in other parts of the country as well. And I think there are a couple pilots in Massachusetts as well. One of the great things about this project is that it is easy to replicate. It is relatively easy to find the right restaurant partners to work with. Especially now at a time when many of our restaurant partners are challenged with workforce issues, challenged with customers wanting to keep it busy. So this has been positive for them as well. So we have a toolkit for any community-based organization that would like to replicate it and can help.
Okay. Jen, I want to bring this back to the loneliness and social isolation, because one of your missions is to provide to keep people out of institutional care by providing them services where they can age at home. But at the same time, we know that people want to live in their homes, but oftentimes that can be an opposing kind of directive, because people tend to be, if they're not connected to their communities and to their loved ones, we begin to see them live in loneliness. So how do you propose we address what could be these opposite kinds of perspectives?
Absolutely. You bring up a really good point, that challenge between some of the benefits of living in an assisted living setting or living in a setting with other older adults is that you do have that connectedness to peers. And so when you are at home, we have to work a little bit harder to make sure that folks stay connected. I think the most important thing that we do as an agency in order to address social isolation of older adults is really to sit down with the individual and understand what's important to them. You might hear some people talk about, we're not going to talk about what's the matter with you, we're going to talk about what matters to you. So talking with any individual and understand what is important to them. For some people, it's making sure they stay connected to their grandparents or their grandchildren who might live in the other part of the country. So social connectedness in that way might be working with them to teach them how to use a tablet or how to get on Facebook or how to use FaceTime on a smartphone so that they can stay connected in that way. And other ways people are going to tell them what's important to them is making sure that they stay nourished and they have enough food to eat. So then we might talk to them about our congregate meals in the community, meals where they can go at a senior center or a housing facility and have breakfast or lunch with other peers. In other cases, they want to do all of those things, but they aren't able to drive for one reason or another. So how do we provide transportation, work with our partners to make sure they can get to congregate sites? So it's important to understand that what social connectedness looks like is going to be different for each one of us. And if we root that in, what really matters to you, what's important to you, we can oftentimes find the right ways to enhance connection and at the same time honor what's important to the individual.
Good. Jen, for someone watching today who's not aware of the AAA services and programs in their areas and want to learn more about these programs in their communities, how do they find them?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways that we can do that. I mean, the easiest way really is if you remember the number 1-800-AGE-INFO. That's 1-800-AGE-INFO, and you call that number. They can tell you who the Area Agency on Aging or the ASAP is in your community. So you don't have to worry about finding us. You can just call that one number. If you're somebody who prefers to use the intranet, you can go to masshomecare.org. That's MASSHOMECARE.org, and you'll be able to see then all of the area agencies on aging that are across the state. They cover 100% of the cities and towns in Massachusetts, and you'll be able to see who serves your town. We like to think, it's important for you to know about us before you need us. So even if you're just thinking, I wonder what the AAA in my town does, call us up. You can talk with our information and referral specialists. You can ask them any questions. You don't have to be over 60 to call us. You can be a family caregiver. You can just be an interested community person, but start to learn about the services that are available. And then that way, when you're in a need, whether you're a family caregiver whose father has just fallen and broken his hip, or you're an older adult just wondering how I can stay connected, you can call that number.
Good. Then earlier this year, you became a co-leader of the Coalition to Build Community and End Loneliness. Why is this movement important to you and AgeSpan?
Well, it's one of the most exciting things I've done in the last couple of years, being able to work with you, Sandra, on the coalition. And I don't know how you can promote healthy aging without promoting social connectedness. They go hand in hand, and the research has been clear. We used to talk about the devastations of smoking, and we still talk about that. There's research out there that says that social isolation is as dangerous as smoking. You think about it, if you're an older adult living alone, living by yourself, you're not seeing people, it's going to be hard for someone to recognize when, maybe you're not looking as good as you once looked, or maybe your walk is a little more unstable, or maybe you're expressing some signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. If you're all alone all the time, those kinds of things can be easy to miss. And when you're connected with other people, you do have that mirror that comes up to you. The reality of it is we all drive for connection from the time we're little babies, reaching out to our mom and dad. That power is there.
So now with our expanded leadership, what can people look forward to in terms of the work of the coalition?
Wow, I think that there are some really powerful things on the horizon. We've been really fortunate as a movement looking at isolation and loneliness, that we've had the Surgeon General come out and say, this is an epidemic and we need to address it. So we have some powerful folks at the table, at the community level, at the academic level, at the health level, who are saying, I want to raise my hand and I want to work on improving digital equity, or I want to raise my hand, I want to work on improving relationships with the healthcare settings. So I would encourage folks to visit the website, just Google Massachusetts Coalition to Build Community and End Loneliness, and consider coming to one of the meetings, joining one of the work groups, and rolling your sleeves up.
Would you like to talk about some special events we've got coming up?
Absolutely. So you'll have to remind me of the date because it slipped my mind, but I think one of the most exciting things coming up later this summer is our lobby day. We really see the power of making sure that our elected officials know the importance of loneliness and social connectedness, understand how those things are impactful on our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, our social health. So we're having a lobby day coming up. The
That's
date
on June 5th at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. It's right around the corner. June 5th at 10 o'clock. Everyone is welcome to join us, and we have you can go to the website and learn a little bit more, and we'll get you registered.
Right. And it's very, very important because we really want to keep the lawmakers informed, not only of the work that we're doing in the coalition, but about the importance of making sure that we have policies that reflect connections and everything, right?
I love that. Connection in all policies.
That's right. Also, we've got an exciting campaign that we're getting ready to start. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So this coalition to build community and end loneliness has been going on for a few years now, and we are really excited now that we want to move to a place where we're not just talking about it, but we're taking action. We're providing opportunities for communities to learn how they can improve connection in their in their backyards, whether it's increasing the number of benches at the park, whether it's free access from the library for Wi-Fi so you can do digital stuff, or whether it's just checking in with a neighbor in the community who might need a check-in. So between now and September, we're going to be launching a public awareness campaign, not just around the challenges related to social isolation, but the power of social connection. And that will culminate in the fall with our Good Neighbor Day of Action. And that will be a call out to our partners to take at least one action step towards improving connection, either on an individual level, a community level, at a state level. It will be great, and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit in our lobby day, but it will be great for all of our elected officials to commit to doing at least one event in their community that improves social connection.
So we can let our audience know that there's something to look forward to. National Good Neighbor Day is September 28, and we're hoping to proclaim September 28 this year as Good Neighbor Day of Action in Massachusetts, asking everyone across the state to get involved and to meet their neighbor, come out and talk, and show the power of connections and community. So that's something exciting, and we know that our audience will be hearing more about this as we go along.
Absolutely, and I would be remiss for not thanking you, Sandra, for your leadership role in bringing this issue forward, not only as the state president for AARP, but as an individual. The passion that you've brought to bringing this issue forward has been contagious across the state. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And before leaving, Jen, what is the one thing you'd like to leave with our audience today?
We were talking about this earlier, the power of one, right? We sometimes talk about these things like Lobby Day and how do we get elected officials moving forward, and we talk about it within our work in our communities. How do we build this greater movement? The reality is that each one of us can do one thing as early as today to improve connection, to make someone in our community feel more invested and connected, and give them hope and promise. So I encourage folks to think about that homebound neighbor, or someone who's maybe newly widowed who could use a help. You might see a town meeting in your community. Do you want to show up at the town meeting and lend your voice? But what is the one thing that you could do as an individual today to improve connection? And if you're struggling with finding something, I'd encourage you to reach out to your local area agency on aging or aging service access point, because we have many different volunteer opportunities, even if you wanted to give an hour or a day.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for all that you do, and all that your colleagues do at AgeSpan and across the Commonwealth for setting the standard of care that is the benchmark for area agencies on aging throughout our country. May you celebrate 50 plus more years. And thanks to you, our audience, we hope you have been inspired to visit and learn more about the area agencies on aging servicing your areas. We invite you to join us as the State House for the Massachusetts Coalition to Build Community and End Loneliness on Wednesday, June 5th from 10 a.m. to noon. Contact your local state representative and let them know how important it is to address loneliness in the Commonwealth. As always, we invite you to join us again next month for another episode of Connect. Until then, reach out and stay connected to those you love, your friends and your neighbors, especially those living alone. Visit us at End Loneliness MA to watch past episodes of Connect, to learn more about the coalition and find ways you can join this movement, helping to alleviate the loneliness epidemic in Massachusetts.